All right, real quick, I want to talk about the new Roadhog rework, which just went live. I think earlier today. It was announced yesterday. We got like a little video displaying all his changes and what they looked like and what his rework entailed. So I want to kind of break that down and sort of talk about, the new changes. Does this improve Roadhog? And I guess my big question was this really a rework? So to start with his new changes, he does get this new ability called Pigpen, which looks a lot like Junkrat's Trap, where it traps and slows the enemies within it. It does 60 damage immediately upon being trapped, with an additional 30 damage over 3 seconds. This looks a lot like Junkrat's Trap, and I can kind of see why, since they're both, Australian, and they're both like, at least lore-wise and canonically, very, partners essentially. But that was an interesting thing to add as his new ability. Along with that, he just got a new projectile spread, which seems to be less pellets and added projectiles, which sure, I guess he could benefit from that. He's always been like a close to medium range hero, so I mean, we'll be seeing very soon if that's a meaningful impact to his kit. And finally, there was a vape rework, or like his take a breather, where it sort of becomes a resource, where before you click the button and it uses the entire thing, so you really get the most value out of it if you were taking a bunch of damage or if you were already very low. But now you can like start it and cancel it, and you'll have like a different cooldown depending on how you sort of manage that resource, which I think is cool. Adds a bit more flexibility to him and makes him a little more, like I said, flexible, a little more dangerous. And aside from that, I mean, that was a very short list of changes. With only one new ability, they've reworked his spread. His hook is still the same. His vape has been slightly reworked. And I guess the real question is, does this improve Hog? You'll never catch me playing him. I have gone up against him more than once, and I have been very, I've been very impressed by those who have sort of played at that high skill ceiling with Roadhog in Overwatch 2. And he was still good before the rework. But now, is he better, any more versatile, any more fitting in this 5v5 system? I don't think so. You just get a little more CC with his trap, which I thought the whole point of Overwatch 2 is to move away from that, and now we're giving that to more heroes. Granted, he's a tank, and tank is a somewhat underpowered role in this meta, so I kind of get it, and I could be a lot more upset if it was like a DPS or something like that, but still not super thrilled with that. So, I mean, for the grand question, is he meta now? Will he see a resurgence? I don't think so. In this meta of Zarya and Orisa, he doesn't really do anything well enough to rival them. It could be a fun, like, quick play pick, or, maybe you will have a top tier Hog player in rank now that you'll see rolling people, like you do see occasionally with Ball or anybody like that. But I don't think this makes him a must play, aside from just seeing what the new ability is like. So one of the questions I posed earlier was, is this really a rework? I felt like it was necessary to point out that, from my understanding, this rework was teased in January of 2023. That was 10 months ago. I mean, if you guys do remember, at the beginning of Season 7, or at the end of Season 6, it was announced that Hog would be delayed and coming out in mid-Season 7, and all that waiting and anticipation kind of made Hog look to be a little underwhelming. It's just 10 months, a delay into Season 7, midway through Season 7 for his release, and we got this. I mean, first thing I did was compare it to Sombra, how she got, a reworked passive where if she's out of combat, she goes into that stealth mode. Her translocator now instantly activates after like 2 seconds or something instead of being placeable. She got a new hack ability. So, I mean, like, it just feels like there was a lot more thought and care that went into that rework than this one. Not to say this one, it does kind of feel a little lazy in comparison, but immediately it just rubs me the wrong way. It doesn't feel good when you line those characters side by side and see how they were changed from their Overwatch 1 variants. Yeah, and I mean, honestly, this is a personal sort of notice of mine. It feels like this Roadhog rework was instantly overshadowed by the fact that they released the zombie nurse Mercy skin in the shop. That felt like the real headliner for today, as opposed to Hog getting a rather underwhelming rework. And I figured I'd just throw that in there because as I was scrolling through Overwatch Twitter, that was something that became very apparent to me very early on. But yeah, that's all I have. TLDR, Roadhog got reworked. Doesn't look that great on paper, especially in comparison to past reworks that we've seen from heroes like Sombra, but hopefully he'll still be fun to play as. Hopefully there is some sort of subset of Overwatch players that'll find this rework beneficial and enjoyable, but that remains to be seen.